done yet, but for anybody watching in the future, I'm just going to start talking now, even though there's nobody to communicate with while I'm trying to get my computer set up. So, right now, I'm starting this live stream kind of rushed, and so therefore don't have everything set up, because today's just been crazy busy. I had a test that I had to do, and am just getting home from that, and I have to go in about 2 hours. Trying to get a lot done, just crazy busy, you know, life things. Alright, there we go, logged into the computer. Yeah, just stupid busy. I do plan to get back to the topic I left off on yesterday that I didn't completely cover, which was the idea of prepping. Talking about guns, because guns are freaking awesome, and I love guns, but at one point, if I get to a point where I think I have nothing left to talk about, I'm probably going to start up a podcast. I'm about 30 minutes into a 2-hour podcast that I was trying to watch on the car ride to the place where I took the test and back. So about a 15-minute drive. I was watching this podcast and it's very intriguing, so I want to continue watching it. And I won't be able to watch it when I have to leave here in about 2 hours. I'll be able to watch it there and on the way back, but I'm hoping to get done with it before I go there, because once I go there, my mind will be focused on the task at hand and not so much remembering or retaining the information that's communicated through this podcast. But so far today, other than just being crazy busy, it was pretty awesome. I have learning disabilities, so I get people to scribe for me on tests, which is pretty awesome. So I basically just tell them what I want to say, and they write it down for me for like a test or for like an assignment. Say I needed to write a 2-page paper on the end of a quiz, like it was like multiple choice and then a short essay summary or a short essay response to a question. They can write it out for me. But the scribe that I had was this, I'm not gonna try and even guess her age. She was like, but she was older. She had gray hair, thinning gray hair, and glasses. I'm assuming not from always needing glasses, but from age, because of the, you know, the density of the glasses. But a fairly older woman, and it was just an awesome experience. It's the most fun I've ever had taking a test. MMAND. Gotta type in my own channel here so I can yeah, there we go. So I can view the live stream. So if anybody does decide to stop by, say hi, you know, try and communicate, maybe want to jump in and play a few games. Let's see, I'm going to hear myself talk here for a second. Yep, alright, so my mic is working and I wasn't just talking to myself for the past 5 minutes. Anyways, but it was probably the most fun I've had taking a test, because we it just we meshed, the way we were talking to each other was awesome. And there is the one viewer, which should be me. But yeah, it was just it was an awesome time. Really flattering conversation though too. You know, I think getting complimented by anyone that's older than you, I think is flattering, just in the sense that, you know, they've lived longer than you, so for them to appreciate anything about you is, you know, that has more weight than somebody that's younger than you that looks up to you. When someone that you would look up to, somebody that you view as above you, compliments you, it tends to hold more weight. And I don't know if that's just her personality, but it seemed like she was really, it also feeds into the fact that the conversation started out, she was very critical of a lot of the students she has to help, she has to scribe for. She was really critical of them, and then to have her turn around and by the end of the conversation be complimenting me it was a very very awesome experience, very flattering experience. Just a really nice old lady. The conversation just flowed. I feel like I'm not the best social person. When I just walk up to strangers, I'm not the person that just can talk to anybody. I'm not that, you know, extroverted guy at a party that everybody loves to hang out with. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that sits over in the corner and is there and will have a few beers, but has to be the deep beat. Talk too fast. I'm the guy that has a few beers, sits in the corner, and tries to stay tipsy enough that I cannot be annoyed by drunk people, but stay sober enough that in a couple hours I can drive everybody home because I'm the DD. I'm that kind of guy. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things that, like, to have a conversation just flow like that it was very awesome. And, I mean, all that when I was supposed to be taking a test, it was sad because, I have extended time on tests as well, but I hardly ever go to that time, but she needed to actually leave early, and so we were supposed to get, like, she basically was going to tag team with another proctor, or another scribe, to write down my thoughts, but she actually stayed late so we could continue talking. It was a pretty awesome time. We were just talking about life in general and the complicated topics. So what we were the test was on an art course, and so, you know, art is one of those complicated ideas where you're communicating a thought through a particular medium, basically. So, like, the complexities of the thought and the intricacies of the events surrounding it, the context, you know, the content, all those different terms like that. I mean, it was an awesome conversation. And then, you know, we got off track towards our own lives and, you know, the events that, you know, the complexities of our lives. And, you know, I'm not old by any means, but I'm older probably than the average Fortnite player. But I was probably a third of this woman's age, and let's see, probably a third, if not maybe younger than a third of this woman's age, and just to vibe that well with someone of that age it was a pretty awesome experience. So if I ever if I'm ever taking a test again and need a scribe, I'm gonna probably ask for her if she has time, because just had an amazing conversation. Just an awesome person to be around. Hope she has a good life. You know, not gonna mention her name because I don't want people to, you know, try and find out who she is and track her down. I don't want to send, you know, negativity her way. Just basically want to, you know, speak the praises of how awesome this person is. Just, you know, push out good vibes into the universe of how, you know, this person she was an awesome woman. So, sorry to get sidebarred on that, but yeah, that's what happened today so far. Later I'm going to an event, hang out with some like-minded people, and have some fun, hopefully. See where that goes. That's what my plans are later. So right now what I'm doing is basically I'm just looking for V-Bucks quests. I've heard a lot of people mention the companion app, and there's websites that could just tell me, but right now my cell phone has the podcast pulled up and my computer has my video, so if anybody stops in the live stream I can talk to them. So I don't really have any way to look up that information, so I'm just looking through it. If there are no V-Bucks quests, I'm probably going to go straight over to the weekly challenges because I need to start trying to get some of those done. But I also am working in Fortnite related stuff now, I guess. I'm working on the candy machine gun from the Fortnitemares event. I did do that earlier today. The only reason why I don't stream in the morning is because usually by the time I can get up and get everything started for streaming, everybody would already be at school. So I think I'll get almost no viewers. Starting streaming now at around 3:30 in the evening, I think most people should be out of school, and therefore the chance of me getting people to stumble across my content as I'm streaming this live is slightly elevated over normal. But I did play earlier today for a little while and did manage to get the gun. There you go. You can see that I'm past that point. I got the gun, and here's what I'm doing with it. So I've seen some videos reviewing it, and a lot of people, it's not that great of a gun, but a lot of people are messing around with it to try and see future. So if there's future ones that recur stamina. This one drops, or has the potential to drop items that recur health. If they do this in the future and do it with like stamina or like XP maybe, or who knows what they do it with. Hey, what's up? I'm live streaming right now, so that's what's going on, man. What's going on, man?
Hi.
Yeah, the mics. What's that called? Like looping. Oh, like looping. I can hear myself. Through yours.
I don't know how.
But I was also getting ready to go into Battle Royale. So you're trying to play Save the World.
Oh, okay. I'm just a viewer.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm just a subscriber that goes into all your streams.
I can barely hear you, man.
I said I'm just a subscriber that goes into all of your streams.
Yeah, I noticed you. This stream was supposed to be Battle Royale and Save the World, but I did the V-Bucks missions, and now I'm heading over to do weekly challenges on Battle Royale.
Alright.
Yeah. But if you're gonna keep playing Save the World, I'll be over Battle Royale. I'll be over Battle Royale. Do squads or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna go over there now. See you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was nice, you know, getting to talk to somebody. Unfortunately, the mic was, that's the only thing, is that mic sometimes is, you know, aggravating when you can hear yourself talk. It's kind of like the delayed speech gun or whatever, where they like, it records and then feeds back what the person says to them, and it makes them stumble as they talk. It's kind of what that does. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, the candy gun. That's what I was talking about. Let's see, lobby, barrier teeth. Okay, yeah, nothing new, I don't think. Outlive opponents in solo mode. So it looks like I need to be playing solo. I did all this looking into this the other day, but now I don't remember what any it was. Minigun in that one. Destroy trees. Deal damage to opponents. That should be easy. Headshot damage to opponents. Headshot damage to opponents. Okay, well, kind of ties in. 7 ammo boxes. I'm sure there's somewhere on the map that I need to land for that one. And then consume apples. Eliminate opponents in Pleasant Park. So possibly Pleasant Park might be the place to land, because I think there's apples right outside if you go towards the soccer fields. If you go down from Pleasant Park towards the soccer fields, I think it's possibly get apples. I'm probably not going to remember any of this once I load into a match, but load up a match while I'm talking. Oh yeah, I was talking about the candy gun before he jumped in the lobby. So a lot of people are talking about how it's going to be the first of many, hopefully, and so they're trying to build characters around exploiting the drops, I think, is what they're going for. So it drops based off of kills, so they're trying to make it the most efficient they can at killing things. Which is kind of what I'm going for, but I'm not doing as much as other people are doing. There's some people on YouTube that are doing like whole builds, like they're doing soldier builds around this gun and getting kills. I'm not going that deep into it. Another thing that I saw is a lot of people are rolling it 2 crit damages, a crit rating. A lot of people are mixed on what the next ability should be, whether it's magazine size, weapon stability, or whatever else you may have that's in that slot. And then the type of damage. There's also, I mean, if you need the gun to fulfill a role, like if you need a water gun, you know, you use it as a water gun. But I mean, it's kind of one of those things that part is kind of up to you. So Pleasant Park is way back there, but I'm going to go for these rings. They're right here, so it doesn't look like I'm going to Pleasant Park. I also need apples. I might do salty. That might be where I'm going. Not salty. Shifty might be where I'm going. But yeah, so what was I saying? A lot of people are going with that. 1 crit rating, 2 crit damage. What a lot of people are doing. I am rolling it mine personally 2 crit damage or 2 crit rating instead of 2 crit damage, because I want more often to have critical hits, even though they do less damage. Because the damage, and that's the other part that I rolled, is rolled one of them as damage. So I'm hoping to, I won't be doing as much damage when I crit, but I'm hoping to be critting more often. So whenever I'm killing the little guys, I'm getting more drops. That's my theory behind what I'm doing with mine. But again, I'm not one of those people that crunches numbers. I'm sure there's gonna be, I mean, give it a week and there'll probably be somebody saying, here is the by the numbers most efficient build that you can have for this gun. But we don't have that yet, so that's my theory on how to roll that gun. And we're right on the border. That is nice. And an SMG. That is also much appreciated with some light ammo. Thank you very much. And a slurp. What was I saying though? I was talking about that gun. I think that pretty much covers that gun. Oh, there he is. Okay. Cool. You gonna keep coming this way or no? Oh, you jumped down, didn't you? Where'd you go? I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. Ah, you but where'd you riff from? I'll take that. Oh, and you're coming right back down. Huh. Where are you? I'm trying to get the drop on him without letting him get the drop on me. This is a great one gun to have, but it sounds like he is strapped, and I am not. Guess I go for it. Oh, is he over there? Yeah, he must be over there. Oh, he's right there. Easy kill. Who is he shooting at? That's the real question. Who was he shooting at? And no spare ammo. Thanks, dude. None down here? Yeah, no. So who was he shooting at with this AK? Oh, you're like right here. Where are you? It's John Wick. Got him. I was way more worried about that guy than I needed to be. Hey, what's up, man? You the guy from earlier, I'm assuming? Let's drink up these 2 minis right quick and pick us up some guns. Yeah, I think I like SMG better than shotgun. Let's see. Oh, I guess he just dropped in and left again. 2 kills though, I mean that's way better than I thought I'd be doing. What was I gonna say? I got distracted because I was gonna die, and I didn't want to die. I don't want to die! But yeah, oh yeah, I need to be harvesting trees, that's another thing I kind of forgot about. I'm debating on whether or not I want to keep trying to think about what I was talking about, or if I want to just jump into real life guns. That kind of talk I was thinking about. Man. Yeah, well I was talking about the machine gun, yeah, I kind of fall into that. That's my school of thought that I fall into with, how to roll it. I will be making a video with that gun at probably at 106 power level, or whatever that power level is. Probably maxed out at that. I'm probably not going to get it to 130. Where is he? Okay. I'm probably not going to get it to 130 yet. I've actually got it at 82 right now, because I'm still not sure if I want to roll it Obsidian, or if I want to roll it Shadow Shard. I mean, Shadow Shard is better for base damage, so when I hit crits, I'll be doing more damage, which is nice. Okay. Which is nice, but Obsidian will give me a faster rate of fire. It's basically hit harder or hit faster is kind of basically what I'm choosing between. And I'm thinking possibly because of me rolling crit ratings, I want to hit faster, not necessarily harder. But I'm not 100% sure on that, which would mean I'd be wanting to roll it Obsidian. But I might actually just roll it 82 for now, get it to max rolls, and then... Okay, no, not a subscriber. I thought I heard some. But yeah, I might roll it, I might wait to pick the roll on it once a more formal video, a better video has come out. Somebody giving the numbers of why, because that's my theory, is I'm thinking Obsidian might be good just for, like I said, speed more so than hard hitting. Just in my opinion, that might be a good idea, but I kind of want to crunch the numbers first, or have somebody else crunch the numbers for me before I make that concrete decision, because so far from what I've seen, the response time for Epic to get back to you about fixing something on your account is really slow right now. So, I'm not trying to, because I know you can email them, like if you accidentally roll something, Shadow Shard versus Obsidian, I know you can email them about it and they'll fix it, or at least they used to. But I don't know, I'd just rather not go through all that trouble and wait like 2 weeks for it to happen. I'd rather just, you know, do it right the first go around. Even though there's no penalty other than just the time and stuff, I'd just rather do it the right way. So I guess on to real life guns, I was talking about how that's my theory, is that when it comes to prepping, guns is probably the best way to go, because no matter what the situation is, the apocalyptic situation you find yourself in, guns will always be useful in that situation. And then I think I said too, ooh, let's see if we can get a snipe in. Oh, just missed. Yeah, she definitely knows something. But yeah, basically my school thought, ooh, is there somebody else in Tilted that she thinks she's attacking? I think there is, which would be amazing. Ooh, what's going on there? Oh, it's glitched. Ooh, yep, nope, she knows I'm here. She definitely knows I'm here. Let's get the F out of here. Move. Okay, let's hope I don't die to this. Oh, I didn't die, sweet. Alright. Good news, I didn't die in the match early. But yeah, my school of thought with guns was whatever you're comfortable with the most is the right gun for you. It doesn't matter what anybody says. But with that, there's several other things to consider. So, number one for me, priority-wise, when it comes to getting a gun in the apocalypse, get something you're comfortable with. But if you're the type of person that's like, I'm just not comfortable with any gun, so I don't really care, I want to get whatever you recommend, then my recommendation is going to change. Shotgun ammo, probably more ammo on top of it, I'm not worried about getting. So then my recommendation would change. If you're like, I have literally no experience with a gun, but I plan to start getting experience with a gun, what should I start with? Oh, that's coming from behind. Yeah, down. I guess it kind of depends with what I would recommend. That would fall into kind of the same thing of what apocalyptic situation you're in, factor into what I would recommend, and then not only would that factor into what I would recommend as in what type of apocalypse you're in, but it would also, another thing that would factor in would be, in a day-to-day use, what would you be more probable to have? Would you be more probable to have a home invasion, or would you be more probable to have, you know, you're gonna have to leave, so you're probably gonna go somewhere wooded, and you're worried about people coming from a far distance away? And that's probably gonna mean I'm gonna recommend something that can reach out and touch people. Hopefully that guy doesn't come up behind me. Let's try and get a snipe off on this dude. Oh, just high. Just high. Just too high. I really hope I don't get shot in the back from that guy. Oh, and one of them died. Let's see. So he's right over there. Oh, come on. I didn't think he would jump down that quickly. Made it to top 8 though. Being not good at Fortnite, I mean, that's pretty decent, I think. This guy might die. I might just talk while this guy plays. Man, a lot of people copped that skin, didn't they? Interesting. I like that skin, it's just a little too robotic. Yeah, I think this is like a 3-person fight right now. I think there's these two and the guy behind him. Yeah, the guy up there. What was I saying? Oh, and he's got the dire wolf sword, so this guy's pretty good. But yeah, so it kind of depends on your situation. So I can't tell you this, but the best thing I would recommend, honestly, if you're like, I have no idea what my situation would be, that was a nice play. I have no idea what my situation is going to be with, like, if you're that type of person that's like, I'm not prepared at all, I just need to get the gun now, I don't know what the situation is going to be, I don't know if I'm going to evacuate, I don't know if I'm going to have to do home defense, I don't know. The gun I would recommend to that type of person that has no idea what function they need, I would recommend an AR. The main reason why I would recommend an AR is that it's kind of the, like, I don't know, the grab bag of guns, if it might be the best term for it. So it's modular. Like, if you decide, oh well, I need to be more stable, I want to shoot laying down and hiding and sneaking, that kind of combat that I'm going to be getting into. Misedit. Anyways, then he edited the door. If that's the type of, if you don't know, it's good. It's like, you know, you can put a tripod on it easily. You can find any type of tripod, you can put it on. But yeah, it'd be, I mean, I guess I don't know why I'm commenting fail, because, I mean, he's better than I am. But yeah, an AR, you can also get it in numerous different types of rounds, depending on what you're wanting. So, basically what I'm saying is, like, say the worst case scenario is, man, everybody's dead, but a few people, like, kind of like Walking Dead style of, you know, shit. With an AR lower, which is 90% of what you're touching. Your buffer tube, which your cheek is resting on, what the fuck? Oh, it's another. So 90% of what you're touching is the lower receiver. The only part that's touching anything that's not the lower receiver is your arm that's forward, and then you're touching, you know, the railing, or your, you know, foregrip, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you're going to put there, you're touching that. But your face and your backhand and your thumb, the part that actually takes dexterity, wow, that was hilariously bad. But yeah, 90% of, like, what you're touching is going to be the lower receiver, or parts that are attached to the lower receiver. So, because of that, you can get really comfortable with that one particular gun, and then you could change the upper receiver within, you know, certain parameters, but you could basically, wow, that guy got messed up, and then the guy that just landed where he is gonna get messed up too. But yeah, within reason, you could like change uppers, and you could change from like say 223 and 556 to like 300 blackout, or you could change it relatively easily. So say you wanted a, you know, a smaller round, you could probably even change it to a 22 with the right barrel and the right pieces. You can change it to do all types of different things. So you can get comfortable with the platform, and with relatively little change it to do what you need to do in that. Say you need to just make squirrels, you can probably change it to a 22 pretty easily, with just the use of a different upper. And then if you need to snipe people far away, you can just change the upper to something that's like a 308 round, or a 300 blackout, or 30-06 or something like that. And then if you want something that's just a good all-around, like people killer round kind of thing, 223 556 is pretty good. It gets in there and it messes shit up. Like, it's one of those rounds that if it hits you, you might not die right away, depending on what's going on. You might not kill them right away, but if the bullet went in them, they're probably gonna die. So there's better rounds, I think, for just killing people. Like straight up, just like they're gonna die the second it hits them. There's better rounds for that. Like any type of, you know, high velocity round with a well placed shot is probably gonna do better. But a 2-3, if it hits them and gets in their body, they might not die immediately, unless they've got some really good medic. I mean, there's people now. AK kind of falls in that same type of round where it, like, once it hits, it pulls, just messes stuff up inside. He's just like, bro, I don't give a F about that RPG. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things. And there's people that still die when they get shot, like with modern medicine. So I mean, you're talking about an apocalyptic situation. Chances of them getting medical care that's going to save their lives is not going to happen. So if you're worried about, like, say you're out and about and you run into these people that you're going to have to fight, and you're worried about them getting back to your family or your loved ones or the people you're looking after, then yeah, you probably want to use a 2-2-3, because even if you can't, because with a 2-2-3 with a well-placed shot, you can still kill immediately, but you know what I'm saying? It's kind of one of those, like, if you're worried that there's any chance they might get away from you, you might want to use a 2-2-3 because they're still going to die. But yeah, so that's my recommendation. Probably is a 2-2-3. Or a 2-2-3 or an AR. An AR platform is probably what I would recommend to the average person if they have literally no idea what they're going to be facing. They just want the best all-around gun. I'd probably recommend that. And the other reason why I would recommend it is because almost any veteran that's like been in the military could teach you some pretty useful skills on how to shoot an AR. Basically, the knowledge for an AR is super plentiful. Wow, how did you both suck that bad? There you go. I think the Direwolf should have it, barring anything crazy happening, and I think he just went out the back. He's gonna run out of mats. You already know he's on metal, so killed me. Wow. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that's how that game got won. That is... wow. Okay. That happened. So an AR is a good, like, all-around platform. Hey, what's up? Somebody else is watching. I was just kind of talking to myself, man, because nobody's really talking with me, so I was just kind of blabbing off about, what guns to use in a possible apocalyptic situation. And my preference. I don't know how long you've been listening, so, but yeah, so an AR is probably a good thing to get used to. Like I said, plentiful information, and it's really modular. You can do all different types of stuff with it. But if you were in an apocalyptic situation where you're stuck in your home and you had to worry about people coming in on you, there's different views on that. A lot of people would say, oh, we'll use a shotgun, because that sound just scares people and it's good, it's got a scatter pattern and all this stuff. Problem is, with the average shotgun that people are going to buy, the amount of spread you have on any type of, which you're probably going to be using birdshot at that point, the type of spread you're going to have is not really that significant. And shot placement is always going to be more effective than the amount of shots. So like there's the machine gunner school of thought where it's like just pepper them, and then there's the sniper theory where it's like just shoot them in the head. It's kind of one of those things that it's like, hey, he dropped out. So now I can talk freely without having to worry about what he's going to type in the comments, because I don't care what you guys think in the future. I'm still blabbing out my information. Anyways, so there's two schools of thought with that. And so my thing is, yeah, shotgun is scary. But the problem is, so say you're using birdshot and somebody comes in and it's an apocalyptic situation and they've got gear. They've got like, vests and face mask and all this stuff. That birdshot ain't gonna do anything. It's gonna do a little bit. It might hold them up a little bit. But if you got a shot off on them, that means they can probably get a shot off on you. So, a shotgun is scary, but if it's an apocalyptic situation, people are probably going to be prepped, like you should be, with gear, and so therefore, that shotgun is probably not going to do as much. Now, you can say, oh, it's versatile, I can shoot a slug. Yeah, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of what the shotgun was originally set out to do with people using a shotgun, which is guaranteeing that you're going to hit, because it's still one bullet at that point. So at that point, you might as well use an AR, because the average body armor, most people don't have plates in their body armor, their prepping body armor. They have bulletproof vests like what a cop uses. The average cop uses a Kevlar, which is only rated to stop pistol rounds. So with an AR, with the high velocity and small projectile size, and the penetrating power basically, the AR is going to stop most people's body armor. Now, if they have plates, which you'll not know upon them entering your house, they have plates, you're not going to want a pistol. But the other thing with that, about having a pistol, is if you shoot for the head and you're well trained with a pistol, so you can hit that shot, a shot to the head, there's not a whole lot. There's a whole lot of really strong face masks out there, I will say that. There's some crazy good technology out there. But not a whole lot of them if you're shooting something like 40, per se, like 40 and up. It's like 40, 45, 50, 357. If you're shooting anything around that size, not a whole lot of them can not at least knock the person unconscious. Even the best, they're still probably going to get knocked unconscious if you shoot them in the face with that. Might not kill them. It might still kill them though because of brain hemorrhaging and stuff. Like if they get their head gets knocked around too much, then they can die from like a concussion type thing. It's kind of one of those things that that a pistol in a home defense situation is my best. I guess basically from the way I'm talking, you can kind of tell a pistol is the best, in my opinion, for home defense. Purely because of the mobility of it. You can reach around a corner with a pistol and get fairly effective shots off. Looking through, like, say they had already shot up the house, you can look through a bullet hole with your hand around the corner. You might lose that hand, but you can still get effective shots off, and you can still kind of, you can't one-handed shoot most guns. You probably can with an AR, a really well-built AR that's chambered in 223 or in 22, but again, in home defense, you don't want a 22. The problem is with a pistol, though, I did not want to pick up the shotgun. The problem is with a pistol, though, is that other than home defense, it's a backup. It's a secondary weapon. That's what a lot of people use it for, because that's pretty much all it's good for. It's good for room clearing, good for home defense, and it's good for an emergency if you have to get rounds downrange. But so basically, if you know you're not going anywhere, and your plan for an apocalyptic situation is to hunker down, and you're expecting that people are going to come in on you, you might want to go with a pistol. Another thing about pistols is because of their size, they're easier to manage, and so therefore I feel like the learning curve for them isn't as extreme as the learning curve with learning how to properly shoot a rifle. So that's kind of why I would go with a pistol if you're not sure. But I would recommend a rifle because out of any other gun, if you're not going to use a pistol, I would recommend an AR because you can get carbine-sized ARs, or you can get like standard rifle-sized ARs. So you can get a small enough one that is still effective at range. himself up, didn't he? I called that. Definitely thought he was going to blow himself up. So, well, he took away all my shields, so that's kind of rude, but let's hope somebody else doesn't come down on me. Let's change here and drop a pistol for a hunting rifle. I'm thinking this is probably the best bet. But yeah, so pistol's not good in most situations, but in the situations it's good in, it's the best. A pistol versus an AR in a house, it's probably, if both people are expertly trained in both, the pistol probably has a better chance of coming out alive. But again, that speaks to the reason why you might want to train with an AR, because if you're familiar with the platform, getting into longer range shooting might be a little bit easier for you. But let's see, did he go through here? I don't think he did, because there's chests. Sweet. I probably should check for traps before I went in the room. But let's see. Yeah, let's drink that. Nah, I'm not gonna look for a mini. I'll still be at 75s, 90s, so that's not too bad. But yeah, so part of the reason why I would recommend getting used to an AR platform. Now, shotguns now when it comes to hunting, that's another thing that a lot of people want to know about, is like, oh, well, I'm not worried about people, I'm worried about hunting purposes. What's the best gun if I'm going to learn to hunt? Oh, hard choice, the new gun or the Scar that I know is good. I'm only drinking this because it's going to give me some health back, and the shield. Choices. Because this has a faster rate of fire, it's still slower than an AR. I think I just keep the gold Scar. Somebody will probably comment, oh, you messed up. Whatever. But what was I saying? But yeah, some people are like, oh, well, the apocalyptic situation I see myself in, the one that I see most probable is not dealing with people. I need a gun for hunting. What do you most recommend for hunting? Again, an AR, you can use it as a pretty good all-around. You can use it as 22 hunt squirrels, or you can use it as a higher rifle round to hunt deer or elk or whatever you're trying to shoot. Once you get into, even elk is kind of pushing it. Once you get into like moose and bear, yeah, you want something bigger than an AR when you're hunting something that big. Sorry, I couldn't tell if that was somebody around me. But yeah, so for hunting, again, AR is a pretty dang good choice, I'm not gonna lie, for all around, just what it would be good for. Again, this is dependent on where you live, but so like if you live in a city, depending on where that city is, it's kind of one of those things that, like, if you're interested at all in prepping at all, like even if like this, just me talking about it gets you interested in it, it's kind of one of those things that you probably want to find out the wildlife that lives around where you're either living or where you're planning on going whenever shit does hit the fan. Probably good that you know the wildlife, and probably good that you go out and actually start trying to learn how to hunt. Maybe not go out like a dedicated hunter and go out all the time and, like, you know, spend time hunting and practicing and all that, but having a basic knowledge. So, like, say you did shoot a deer. Part of that basic knowledge is you should probably know how to gut and clean that deer, and what meat's the best parts to eat, and what parts you shouldn't eat, what parts would be better in a stew. It's kind of one of those things that it's good to have the information. And like, so say if you shot, you know, gutting animals and cleaning them so that way you can eat them, like, it's pretty similar among most animals, I mean. But it is good to know specifically. So like bear is gonna have a lot of gristle, and, you know, like information like that you probably want to look into. This is just one med kit. I think I keep the 10 band-aids. Where are you? But yeah, but say you live in like Canada. Probably want to go with something a little more high-powered, because you have moose and you have more bears. West Coast bears again, so you probably want something a little bit more higher-powered. I guess we could go back down here. was extremely bad, I know. But yeah, you probably just want to do a little bit more research about what's around you, what wildlife you would be sustaining yourself with. But for the average person, the average rifle round, 308, 260, that kind of stuff is probably what you're going to be going for. I guess we got those grenades. And we're going down. Let's get out of here, because he got up there. I'm dead. Let's see, let's get back in this corner. This corner. Ooh. Yeah, he got me. But now I can stop playing solo, but I might keep playing solo so that way I'm not like talking random stuff to the people that are in my squad. Probably is a good idea. Let's see. I have no idea if the one person watching is my computer or somebody in the live stream. So if you wanna, if that is somebody in the live stream, if you wanna send in a comment, I like to talk to people. But back on track with what I was talking about. If that is just me watching, which I assume it is. What was I saying? I was talking about, but yeah, it's good to have information about what you're going to be sustaining yourself with, like what type of animals you're going to be killing. So like me, I know around here, the most likely thing I was going to be killing is black bear and white-tailed deer. Probably going to be the most common animal to find, and fish. So it's probably good to know how to fish. It's probably good to be an outdoorsman and know how to survive. That's basically what I'm saying. And then guns tie into that because hunting, yeah, you probably want to have guns. Some people fall into the camp of like, oh, well, I'll just use a bow and arrow. Which is good for being quiet. The only problem is that I guarantee you hand me any gun other than a muzzle loader, even a bolt action, I guarantee you I can outshoot you with numbers of rounds, still being well-placed shots. I guarantee you. Like accuracy and speed. Guns are gonna win. I mean, the average informed individual, the average, I'd say the average hunter, not even a competition shooter, could probably outshoot the fastest person with a bow and arrow. That can shoot they might not be able to beat them with speed, if that's like all they go on is speed. They might not be able to beat them with speed, but the amount of rounds that are going to be accurate to what they need to be is probably going to be better. And if they can beat you with accuracy, you're probably going to get more rounds relatively close. What I'm saying is like overall speed and accuracy, a gun's usually going to win. Just an average, well-trained individual, even versus like the fastest guy with a bow and arrow, probably you're still going to win. So there's that. So with a bow and arrow, you're good with silence. Problem is if you miss the first shot, or if there's multiple people, you probably want a gun. And, if you shoot a gun, like say you are out hunting and you're worried about people in your apocalyptic situation that you're in, and you're worried about people, so you don't want to shoot a gun, because you don't want to kill something like a deer. So say you killed a deer in this situation. You killed a deer, you're gutting it, but you're now worried, oh, well, people now know where I'm at because I shot a gun, so they're going to come here and try and steal the meat, steal my stuff, and kill me and leave. Then what I would recommend is, yeah, a bow might be good in that situation. The other thing I would recommend is there are silencers, and then also pay attention to terrain whenever you're hunting. So say, like me, I live in a mountainous area. If I'm going to shoot a gun, I need to pay attention to where I'm at. So, say I'm shooting on top of a mountain. Everybody's going to know it sounded like it came from that mountain. But if you shoot mid-mountain, it's probably going to bounce off of the mountains around, depending on the proximity of the mountains that you're at. If it's like a solo mountain, then, all this goes out the window. Where I'm at, there's a cluster of mountains, so there's a chance it'll bounce off the other mountains around, therefore camouflaging the sound of where it came from. If you're shooting in a ravine, it's not only going to bounce off the mountains, but it's going to go through the ravine. So if the people that you're hiding from are also in that ravine with you, they're going to definitely know which direction it came from. Like, they're going to know, because that's the sound that's going to hit them first. But if you know, let's say they have a camp on the top of the mountain, they're probably going to know approximately where you're at. So basically, what I'm saying is, if you're going to take a shot in the apocalypse, you need to know what's around you and who's around you. Don't just be taking shots. Like, even if it's a great shot, like a deer walks right up in front of you and you can reach out and touch him, but you know you need a pistol to shoot him. Again, don't take that chance if you don't know the area, because it could be a trap. Is basically what I'm saying. So, situational awareness, guns, and yeah, being informed about the wildlife around you is probably a good idea. And knowing how to, you know, sustain yourself off of the things around you are all probably good ideas. Being that guy who buys, you know, those 5-year lasting totes is probably a good idea. But if you can, they say that food lasts 5 years. But my theory is they say it lasts 5 years, usually, so like with MREs, I think they last 5 years or something like that, or maybe 20 years or whatever it is. But I know that for a fact, before they're even allowed to sell or send out those MREs, they have to sit in storage for, I think it's like a year or 2 years. So if you're getting this food, like say the world's going, like say the grid goes down, but you're still able to like go to your local store or your local warehouse, like you know they produce MREs. Like if you went to a warehouse producer, like say you went to that MRE factory where they have to sit in storage for like a year, because you just happen to know where that is, and they sold you an MRE. I mean, chances are that if that MRE was made to last 20 years, it's probably going to last like 25, 30 years. So those 5-gallon buckets of food that say they last 5 years probably could stretch to like probably close to 10 years. I wouldn't, you know, bet your life on it. If it smells funny, don't eat it. But so basically all that to say that if you're in an apocalyptic situation and it looks like it's going to last more than 5 years, that's an easy source of food. So you might want to start going out and hunting before people get desperate and are trying to kill you. You might want to go out and start hunting and sustain yourself off of that, and save the easy food for later, is basically what I'm saying. So learning to hunt in any type of apocalyptic situation, grid down situation, flooding situation, learning to hunt and be able to survive off of the area around you. So say you're like on the coast and you're worried about flooding, and you just so happen to not die in the flood, but like say you're stuck on your roof. It might be a good idea to have some fishing poles stored up there and know how to fish and know how to, you know, cut open that fish that you, if you do get lucky enough to catch, cook it and eat it. Probably a good idea to know all that stuff. Probably good to know how to get water too. So I know, like in my area, I know some basic filtering techniques for water. Some, you know, building charcoal water filters. I need to be playing a game. My bad. I got too distracted on the conversation that I was having with myself to play. So I need to load into another game. So let's see. Deal damage to opponents in a single match. Destroy trees, skydive through floating rings. So I'm basically going for the floating rings and destroy trees. Is basically what I'm going with, because I'm not really accomplishing a whole lot of the other stuff. Where was I at? I lost track again. But yeah, knowing the area around you is a big key to that, and knowing water filtering techniques, because you could have all the food in the world, but if you do synthesize a little bit of water off of the food you eat. Like me in the mountainous area, I know I have streams, but you don't want to drink that stream water raw because it can have all types of nasty stuff in it, so you probably want to know how to make a basic charcoal filter. Probably a good idea, because filters don't really go bad. Probably a good idea to stock up on water filters if you're not confident in your ability to make your own water filters. Boiling water is always a good idea. If it's really nasty water, you probably want to filter it through, like, shit, even a t-shirt's better than nothing, but like filter it through like a t-shirt and then boil it if you can. That's better than nothing. So yeah, just know where your water sources are, know how to get water. So like getting fresh water out of salt water is terribly inefficient. It's a pain in the butt to do. You never want to have to do it, but if you have to do it, it's good to know how to do it. Split the rings again. yeah, I think that covers most of what I wanted to talk about. I guess I could get into like 308 and that kind of stuff, like what type of rifle rounds. So say you're like determined on your rifle, what type of rifle you should get, what type of rifle round. I guess I could go into that. To the average person that'll be watching this, I don't think you really know that, so it might be a good idea to talk about it. So the easiest round I think to learn with is probably 308. It's the straightest shooting. There's not like sighting in a rifle at different ranges isn't hard to learn because it's pretty straightforward. Like literally, it shoots straight. So there's that. That's probably like the go-to round if you're not a gun person, but you know you're gonna need to learn on a rifle. I'd probably go to a 308. It's probably the easiest. If you get into 30-06, it's got more of a curved trajectory. That's the only part that's hard about a 223. Like if you're learning on an AR, is learning the bullet trajectory. And like sighting in a rifle. Basically, the only thing you want to know about a AR that's tricky about it is basically if you're going to sight in, you're going to have to know where to aim, but you're going to want to sight in at 50 meters, I think, or 50 yards. Yeah, 50 yards. So you're going to want to sight in at 50 yards, and then your bullet drop. The bullet trajectory is a curved trajectory, so where your shot is hitting at 50 yards is where it's going to be hitting at 300 yards for your longer range shots. So adjusting your eye to that is something you probably want to know. And there's a guy here. Oop, there he is. And I wasn't on my well, shit. Reload and... Wow, I didn't die. That's impressive on my part, I think. So let's see if we can not die. Let's do this. Nope, don't have enough materials for that. Yeah, 308 is probably the easiest. AR is decently easy to learn. AR and 30-06 are similar. 270, I think just has more of a bump than an arc. Come on. Let's heal up with this, and let's close. Oh, well, that's great. That's absolutely great. No, I thought he was coming around this side. Oh yeah, that's because I have that ear cup off, so I couldn't hear him coming on that side, so that probably looked like ridiculous to you guys. But yeah, that ear cup isn't on my ear, so I can hear myself talk. Because if I can't hear myself talk, it kind of throws off the way I talk, and it not only throws off the way I talk, but it's distracting, so I tend to lose track of my conversations more than I already do. I'm a very ADHD person, if you couldn't tell. So skydive through floating rings and get trees. That's basically the goal. But yeah, so learning the bullets, how the bullets fly, is a little bit challenging, but nothing that's like too hard to overcome. But I would say, like, you don't need to know what every bullet does. Just need to know what the bullet you're using does. So an AR is a good one to learn because it gets you in the door to that mindset. Because you have to know how to shoot accurately. You have to know how the bullet flies. So you're at least going to be forced to learn a little bit of that knowledge, and then you can apply that knowledge to other rounds later whenever you get to where you're having to use those rounds, if you ever do. So it gets the knowledge in your brain a little bit. So I'm basically praising the AR-15 as something you want to get because it's got so many benefits, and the hardships of it are good to have knowledge in the future. So yeah, that's probably the gun I would go with overall. Again, if your situations are different, if you're not worried about people at all, and you know it's just going to be about sustainability off of hunting, then go with a hunting rifle. if you're worried about people entirely, I'd probably go with a pistol. But the people who say I mean, if you're doing bird hunting, a shotgun is good. The scatter that people want to talk about for home defense, that's where the scatter actually comes into play, which is like bird shot and like birds. And people do like to hunt deer with shotguns, with buckshot and with slugs and stuff like that. So they're good for that, but I'd just rather use a hunting rifle, and or I'd rather use an AR with 300 blackout and then change my upper to a 22 and then shoot, bird squirrel with the 22. Because you can do really, really large game and really small game with the same rifle. Versus a hunting rifle, you can only do large game. Definitely somebody in here. Let's close that door. This is not good. This is really not good. There we go. That's better than the great pistol I had. Oop, he is down here. He tried. Thanks for playing. Thanks for the better pistol too. Oop, nope. Let's drop that. Pick that up and pick that up. Yeah, why not? Alright. That's reloaded, that's loaded, that's loaded, and that's loaded. No, it's not loaded. There has to be somebody else here. There's no way that's what he took away from us. There's no way that's all that was up here. There's a chest, yeah. I guess that is all that he took away from here. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on that situation. Let's drop. Yeah, let's drop that over there. Alright. Oh, I didn't make it. Oh, alright. Oh, I'm getting shot. Well, at least like my loot's somewhat hidden, so there's that. Wukong. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and load out of that game. So I basically accomplished nothing other than skydiving through rings on that one. Oh, gotta stretch. Alright, I think I covered most of what I wanted covered. In that. I mean, I guess I could get into the whole like gun control topic, but I think that's like a whole video on its own. I might do like a whole 10-minute video of just like my face and me talking about it, if anybody's even interested about that. Again, I'm making these videos talking about a lot of fairly deep stuff that I'll probably end up remaking in the future if there is a future to this, because right now like nobody watches this. So the information I'm putting out there and like disseminating, I guess is the word, out there, is not a lot of people are probably gonna see. So if I blow up on YouTube, and my terms of blow up is like get 1,000 subscribers, like that's my definition of blow up. I have 1,000 people that actually want to hear what I want to say. Wow, that would be impressive to me. So at that point I'd probably start remaking some of this content, because I don't expect them to go back and watch 2 hours of me blabbering into a mic with no image of my face to go alongside it. Speaking of which, okay, we're only at an hour, so I got another like an hour to an hour and a half. I might get a copyright claim. I doubt it, because I don't think I have enough of a following to get a copyright claim. And even if I did get a copyright claim in the future, at that point, I don't think one video getting a copyright strike, I don't think would actually really matter. But what I was talking about is I was talking about loading up the podcast. Well, I've already got it loaded up, but watching a podcast. I think what I might do is I might watch a podcast and provide commentary every once in a while, or completely stop the podcast if people actually decide to stop into the stream and, talk to me, hang out, say hi, what's up, hey, you want to play, like, that kind of stuff. but I guess I'll cover what I've watched so far. So I'm like 30 minutes into. This is a podcast by Joe Rogan, um, and the Joe Rogan Experience. He had a guest on. Let's see, Darren Brown. I have no idea if I said his name right. But he's apparently like, just like, I mean, pretty much all the guests that go on Joe Rogan are like grade A people. Like, they're not good people, but they're like, they've lived a lot of life type of people. Yeah, I guess we're gonna go retail and get those switch. I don't know. I'm just kind of dicking around right now. I'm not even really like playing. I'm just kind of like, you know, I'm just doing my own thing. But yeah, this guy, so far what he's talked about is like, apparently for a while he was a hypnotist. It was like what he did. It's pretty cool, because I've never really been like super interested in hypnotism, but it's an interesting idea. Basically, more he's saying it's not really hypnotism; it's more like a psychological suggestion. Basically, is like more so what he said he does. He's not really making you do anything; he's just suggesting and putting you in a suggestive state where you want to do what he tells you to do. And he's like, even on their end, basically what he was saying is, he was saying, like, even on their end, like the hypnotist's end, they don't know if they're actually hypnotizing you, because I can't say, hey, do this, whether you do it or not. I can't know what your motivations for doing that were. I don't know if it's because I actually put you in a suggestive state where you just do what I tell you to do, without thinking about it. Or I don't know if or if you're just doing it because you're like, oh, well, I'm supposed to do it, because I'm up on stage with you, or like, I don't know if, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to know if you're actually hypnotizing the dude, or he's just doing what you want him to do because you want him to do it, which in a way would kind of mirror the hypnotism thing. It's like, either way, you're still doing what you want him to do. So it was kind of cool to get into like the mindset of like how confusing it would be to even be a hypnotism. Like, even they have a problem wrapping their mind around it. And then he goes into that's basically, I think, so far mostly what he's talking about. So I might just play the video and hopefully you guys can hear it. I might unmute myself on my monitor, so that way I can hear if you guys can hear it well or not. And then every once in a while, if I think something's interesting, I might pause the video and talk about it, like relate it to my life, possibly. Again, I don't expect to make any money off of this, so if they like copyright strike my channel, I mean, I don't have any viewers anyway, so my 5 subscribers, I'm pretty sure, aren't gonna give a fuck. I mean, shoot, the amount of profanity alone in my videos are enough to make this be demonetized, so, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. Oh, I should be searching for 7 of those. It's possibly the next thing I should probably be looking for, and if they didn't get looted in retail, I could possibly go there. That's the 7 of these in one match is probably one of those challenges that'll be easier to do like way into the future, because people aren't gonna be like hard targeting them, as in like trying to open them, because not as many people are gonna have a challenge. But yeah, so I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to play a podcast, and you guys can listen to Joe Rogan and this dude talk about random stuff while I play some Fortnite.
When you're trying to talk someone into potentially, and you realize that if this wasn't a show, yeah, if a similar or...
Alright, so that should be enough of a soundbite. Let's unmute myself. Alright, so you guys can hear that, so I'm going to keep playing that.
Or maybe even more powerful pressures were in play, and this guy was suggestible, and he found himself in very unusual circumstances where it seemed like a good idea to kill this person. Like, you're introducing...
Oh, that reminds me. Okay, so, the point they were just talking about, was he's talking about I don't know if he's saying it was a show that actually happened or if it was an idea for a show that he had or something like that, but basically what he was talking about was, they put a guy in a situation where, he starts off like he's, they convince him to do worse and worse stuff throughout the night, so he's kind of like, everyone else in the situation is an actor, but this one guy isn't, and they kind of want to psychologically see what he does. And they put him in all types of like morally compromising type situations. And I'm probably gonna die to this person because they've got a grappler. Now where are they? But so basically what they do is like he says they like start off by like he has these sausages and they're supposed to have vegan sausages, but they didn't come in, so they ask him, the participant of this experiment, to label these non-vegan sausages as vegan. And like he does, and basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to work this guy up to where he'll commit murder by the end of the night. Now he says that nobody actually gets hurt in this experiment. Like they're not going to let that happen, but they want to see how far he'll go. Basically, they want to see how far they can convince this guy to go throughout the night, which is an interesting idea. I think, yeah. This is probably a terrible loadout, but whatever. So yeah, that's what they were talking about right then. Some of you probably don't watch Joe Rogan, because again, I think this audience that would be watching me is going to be younger. But if you do watch Joe Rogan, and I'm just reiterating this, you're probably going to be super bored. But whatever. Yeah, again, people hard targeting those ammo boxes. I guess it's better to Oh. Chest up or down? I think it's down. Well, I'm just gonna go up just in case. No, it was down. Probably should have checked that first. But yeah, so let's get back to the podcast. I think I dropped it there. Ooh, okay, this might get me to the 7. As long as I live through this. That's 2, 3, 4. There's a 7. So I need 3 more. I might be able to get 7. Oh, there we go, 2 more. As long as I don't die. Gotta check everywhere for the memory boxes. So let's just go through here. Go through that. This has been cleared out. Let's just see if somebody left a med, or not a med kit, a ammo box behind. There's usually one in here. Ooh, I will take those grenades, thank you. Possibly in here. Gotta check for traps. Nope, they got it. Alright, so I need 2 more, I think. So let's try and not die. I'm thinking my best bet would be going out there, honestly. I think I'd just go for it. I don't think the next circle is going to be anywhere near that, but, oh, sweet, 1 more. I just need 1 more. Oh, can I not die and get 1 more, please? I think I just don't go that extreme now. I think I check around here then, because I only need 1 more. Ooh, a sniper. Yeah, I think I make that trade. So I thought I was going to play this podcast, but it's hard for me to... I don't want to play it because I don't want to be as distracted as I am right now trying to watch it. Oh, shit. Yep, he's going to come down on me. I just need 1 ammo box. Come on. Come on. Oh, when I need the minigun limbs. Was that my trap? I think that was my trap. Just need an ammo box. With that dance, I definitely thought he was behind me. Just need 1 ammo box. I don't want to die yet. There's a lot of people coming to me right now. And that bullet just flew across there. I don't want to die. I just need 1 ammo box. I don't even care about the minigun kills. I just want the ammo box. guess let's try and run to the next building. This guy right there. Probably should have went for the kill, because I'm probably gonna die running. Just need an ammo box. In the garage. Whatever. Maybe if I'm lucky. Nope, they got it. I guess let's keep going around. I guess I could probably heal. Might be a good idea. So many people around here right now. I just want an ammo box. I don't care about anything else right now. I just want to try and find me an ammo box and get this challenge done. So that's the whole point of this video anyways, right? Is to try and complete these weekly challenges so I can get them done and get back to playing fun. Let's see, just one ammo box. Guess I'm going to the next house. Alright, let's see if we can not get shot trying to find this last ammo crate. Shift trap. So in a less stressful game, I'll probably go back to. Oh, I found it. All right, so now I'll probably start watching it because now I don't really care if I actually die because I got at least one challenge done this round. Bada bing, bada boom, got it done. All right, let's see if we can get a. Yeah, let's shoot that down. Oh, he's right in front of me. Yeah, so that happened. Let's unpause the podcast. Actually, on that note, I've been talking a lot, haven't been getting a lot of water, so I'm probably going to pause myself right quick here. Stream's going to be running. You can watch this guy play some Fortnite. I'll be right back. Yeah, alright, I'm back. Man, today's been a crazy day. I just remembered that even before I head out to hang out with some guys, I need to make food, because I am too broke to go out to eat. Something else I thought was interesting, the rock that's right beside this guy, anybody else notice that it looks like it's a guy laying on his side, stroking himself? Just curious if anybody else noticed that, or if that's I'm assuming it's intentional, because this was originally a really messed up game, in case you guys didn't know. So originally, Canny Valley in Save the World was supposed to be called Cannibal Valley. So that tells you the type of mindset of these people. Okay. So yeah, they're not the best individuals. Jumped in on him. Yeah, there you go. Alright, sweet. guess I'm gonna go ahead and load into the next game, and I'm gonna try and play up this podcast because I've done a terrible job of keeping up with the podcast that I said I was going to play the podcast.
This thought and this scenario into a person's mind that perhaps could go cradle to the grave and never have that.
It's kind of the opposite. What it actually, it's just hard to talk about that really giving away the ending. But what it does is actually mentally rehearse somebody. What this guy took away from it is the knowledge that if he was ever in a situation again where there was anything like that nature of compliance, that he now has the tools to just like stand up to, because you need that kind of emotional rehearsal. And likewise for viewers, hopefully watching it too. That's kind of the idea. We're all emotionally rehearsing it with him. And unless you've been trained in stuff and you know it like that, you need like an emotional experience of it to know when that thing happens, to just have the resources
to understand that you can be manipulated.
So these are very, although I realise it doesn't sound like it, and that show, The Push, is, I mean, it's kind of like the darkest of all the shows, but they are there for a good reason. There's like there's a reason for doing it. Everybody that comes away is always like, you know, that was a great thing to do, best thing I've ever done. You know, these kind of, even though the journeys themselves do look very dark.
Well, he sounds like the guy who had a positive outlook on it. Sounds like a person who can learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
But there's some people that, when confronted with some new situation, like, wow, I really was going to push that guy off the roof. Like, this is me. Like, I didn't think that was me. Now I know. Now I know that I'm capable of doing that. If I get manipulated to the point, like, wow. And then they have a lot of, like, real confusion and perhaps a lack of faith in themselves and their ability to make decisions.
That's kind of my job, to make sure that they know the framing, and that's kind of, you know, I mean, I get these are ethical questions that are worth asking. Ultimately, my concern with these, I've done a lot of these shows where people are put through these dark journeys to reach a valuable point, more valuable than perhaps the end of The Push, which is quite dark. But my only real concern is their experience. So the guy that has just done this new show, for example, I said to him before I came out and started talking about the show, I said, what do you want me to say about your experience? He said, look, aside from having my kids, that is the best thing I've ever done. But I know other people watching the show will say, how can you justify that? You're manipulating somebody, and why did you not just want to kill you at the end of it? The reality is, it's just this one guy's experience that I care about, and that's something that I can manage and create and make sure that he's left in the right way. And also, these are people I just, like, will remain friends with for the rest of my life. So it's not like, great, you've done the TV show, thank you, goodbye. This is there's a genuine
intimate bond.
Yeah, well, we all end up falling in love a bit. With, like, me and the production team falling in love with these people. You're putting them through. These are like 10-month projects. It's a little different with Sacrifice, because he was taking part in one show, which was a documentary, when actually there was this whole other thing going on. A lot of the time they had no idea how long was Push for. Push was, well, that was only like it was only like one evening of actual filming. Wow. Because it was just one like real-time event. But the preparation for it, you know, goes back a bit. The biggest one was I did a show called Apocalypse, which isn't on Netflix. I mean, if you go down the rabbit hole, it'll be somewhere on YouTube, where we ended the world for somebody. So we took control of his news feed, his TV. We filmed like special editions of TV shows, like news shows that we'd watch, fed them into his TV.
Oh no!
And drip by drip, created the idea the world was going to end. There was going to be this meteor strike. Even like in a cafe, because we know he'd be in that cafe. There's a radio playing, DJs that he knows are talking about this thing that is supposed to happen.
Oh my God!
And then we stage it. We stage this pyrotechnic.
Alright, so that's messed up. But this is what I was talking about, the guy touching himself, like head, arm laying up because he's trying to sprawl out, 2 legs, and that looks like another arm. That cluster looks like an arm reaching for the appendage that is right there. Yeah, I don't think it's too far of an image to see there. But yeah, back to the podcast.
End of the world thing, this kind of sort of controlled enough environment we could get him into where we could stage that convincingly. And then he wakes up in the second sort of episode, a 2-episode thing, in this post-apocalyptic, seemingly like weeks later, in a hospital. Like, everyone's gone, the place is abandoned. some infection has spread, so there is like the zombie plot, and he then lives through the plot of the Wizard of Oz to find his way back home. And the point of it was this stoic idea of valuing what you have, because this was somebody who, by all reports, was lazy, selfish, took advantage of his parents who he was living with, never had a proper job. He was just kind of like needed to value what he had. So the Stoics would say, just rehearse taking everything away, so when you return to the stuff you value that rather than just always desiring more. So that was that idea kind of writ large, take everything away and the world. But again, he was transformed by it, really changed his
You're
life.
still in touch with this person?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so, this is a permanent shift.
Permanent shift. He ended up being a teacher in a special needs school that he's kind of worked his way up through, and is now he's getting married.
That's crazy.
Not that I can take credit for all of that, but it was definitely a big part of that.
Well, near-death experiences are often incredibly beneficial to people. They make big, giant shifts in their attitude and their perception of the world, and they realize that time really is finite, and that it could have been taken away from them, and they feel like they have a new lease on life. I mean, you really can become a totally different person after something like that.
I think so. Well, that's also what's happened with this guy Phil. So in this new show, which is also the first brand new thing I've done for Netflix. There's a couple of other shows. But
what is it called?
It's called Sacrifice. So the plot is, I take this guy Phil, who is an American guy. His father's British father. He's a British thing. He's an American guy living in Florida. Right wing guy, strong music inspiration. And I'm using these covert psychological techniques to try and get him to the point where he comes alive, take a bullet, throw it in the Mexican bullet. So he uses his actors, the whole thing with actors. So he went through this journey, which is not a political story at all. I mean, obviously it resonates, but it's ultimately a story about compassion and humanity. Is ultimately very he found himself in. And the guy's made a huge difference to him. So this is I kind of don't want to give away exactly how it turns out. The process takes about 10 months. The year of March, it was maybe 3-4 months. It was the beginning block of this year. And there's 2 levels to making these shows. You've got to write the idea, this is the plot of the show, and find that and make that happen for him. But you've also got to create this. The whole thing it's like this kind of Truman Show. You're creating a fiction for somebody that has to be complete. So it's a whole other level of kind of work. Plus, you've got to make sure this guy's robust enough to go through something like that. So there's a whole vetting procedure that has to happen without you realising what it's all about.
That's a great way of putting it, robust psychologically, right?
Yeah.
That is a crazy amount of preparation and production work.
It's huge. In the Apocalypse show, there was one moment when we had to just make this guy's, because there was the idea there was electrical interference with the meteors, just had to make his TV just cut out. And to do that, there were 2 guys out in his garden shed, waiting, who had to be there all day, because they couldn't come in and out the garden because he might see them, pulling a cable at this moment to make the TV go, but then they couldn't leave because he might see them, so they had to spend the night in this garden shed, right? And this is after 3 months of not having a day off as well. So that's a nothing moment that no one will ever remember from the show. But a huge amount of work. I always get people saying, "Oh, it's all fake. You haven't really done it." And I think it's just no one believes you'd actually go to all that trouble.
Wow, for the paranoid, if you did that to a naturally paranoid person or person with a touch of schizophrenia. Oh my
Which
God.
is why they have to be vetted very carefully first.
Very carefully.
And at any point during the process, of course, we can stop it. I can.
But that would suck, wouldn't it?
That would suck.
10 months of preparation, and you see a guy starting to question reality and look at clouds in an odd way. And next thing you know, oh boy, I think he's slipping away.
Yeah. So that's never happened. It's always been hugely.
That is an amazing process, though. I mean, that's amazing how much prep work is involved in something like that. You just set up the radio, where they walk into a place, different news broadcasts.
The most terrifying bit was for him was the kind of end of the world moment, because we had this fake radio broadcast from the BBC, which was so convincing. It was just made your blood go cold.
War of Worlds type stuff.
But in this thing in Sacrifice, there was an amazing pivotal moment in it when we do this staring test, which is developed by a New York psychology professor. And the idea is you you might have come across it. You just stare silently into someone's eyes for 4 minutes, and it's the most amazing thing. Because obviously, the first thing is you get this sort of awkwardness and this kind of giggling, and then that tends to stop, and then you're just facing a human being, and like you've sort of somehow broken through all the kind of crap, and then you just see like a person that's like living and struggling like you are, and someone with a private life. Like that's a big thing for me. Like we go through life seeing people generally at their best. Like generally people will present their best version of themselves. If you have a couple over for dinner, you'll tend to see that couple at their best. So you have this skewed idea of how together other people are, how impressive other people are, how great other couples are compared to how you are with your partner, and we miss that, like, because we know for us, we have this big, clumsy, embarrassing, lumbering giant of a private life that's just following us around, and it's particularly now, Instagram and all that, people are branding themselves. I mean, it's so unfair in terms of the difference between how you perceive yourself and how you perceive everybody else. So again, the stories that we're kind of living out. So there, it takes like 4 minutes of this bizarre staring thing to kind of reach a moment of just suddenly, I think, hitting a point of just seeing another human being and everything that comes with that. And it was a big moment for this guy Phil. He's already tried a couple of things with him that you see in the show don't work out quite well, and then this really emotional moment when he just has this, change. Yeah, it was. And I think also just being able to do a TV show that really like changes somebody. Quite aside from how popular the show is or how well it works as a show or if I watched it, whatever, just to actually feel like, at some point in my life I've done a positive thing just for one person with TV, which is like, generally kind of a pretty moronic kind of medium. So to be able to just do something meaningful is good.
Listen, it sounds amazing. It doesn't just sound good. It sounds like quite a work of art that you've managed to figure out a way to coordinate all these moving parts and trick someone into accepting a bunch of different versions of reality that you're presenting.
Yeah,
and get these results.
I've got a big production crew that work. It's not all me. I've got to write the thing and design it and so on. But we kind of worked on it over the years. We had little things that involved those kind of plots. Like the first show I did like that was taking a guy who, as with Phil in Sacrifice, actually bringing out someone's hero. Right, that's really what it's about. That's kind of the story. You're seeing somebody go through a big change, but bringing out the hero. And the first show we did like that involved this guy who, at the end of his own journey, finds himself on an aeroplane. He's terrified of flying. We created this situation where he had to be on a flight. He didn't know it was anything to do with us. Everyone's an actor in the plane. We've got hidden cameras throughout the plane. Then there's there is a medical emergency. And will somebody land the plane? Someone needs to land the plane.
Oh my God.
Would he step up and do it?
Land the plane.
Yeah, it's called Hero at 30,000 feet.
Oh, Jesus.
And just to talk through the ending, because it's not it's kind of a spoiler, but it doesn't matter. He does it, right? He rises up, has this moment. He goes to the cockpit. Now he is highly suggestible, right? I've used him because he's suggestible, so I know that I can put him to sleep in vertigo by clicking my fingers, right? He's conditioned to that, So I step out before he hits the cockpit, click my fingers, he sort of zonks out. He's very conditioned to this throughout the process. I stick him in a wheelchair, we land the plane. He wakes up about to walk into one of those convincing simulators, that they use for pilot training. And it's kind of a night flight, so we found out that was the most convincing thing, was to have it when it's dark. So he now goes in, believing he's in the real cockpit of a real plane, 30,000 feet up in the air. He's got the guy on ground control, who is, in on it, obviously, as everybody is, talking him down, getting him to land the plane, and it's just amazing. This guy, as in his mind, is just landing his plane, saving the lives of 300 people, and then he steps out, and then the thing is revealed to him, and it's so emotional. The game, the Michael Douglas film, there's that. So it's always been a point of reference. So he comes out, there's like a big party of everyone that's been on his journey, all these people, these actors that have been, taking him in this direction. so amazing. So I've over the years kind of worked with these kind of these plots, these kind of immersive Truman Show style plots, while at the same time doing stage shows. I do like a live show every year as well, which is kind of a bit more like an old-fashioned sort of magic, mind-reading kind of show. Yeah, they are these extraordinary journeys, but I just do like maybe one a year because they just take so
It
much
seems like
work.
not only does it take too much time, but it also you rely so heavily on the improvisational abilities of all these other people, their ability to adjust and act normal, and to be convincing, and to follow the plot, not deviate at all.
And the LA actors we used for Sacrifice were so good. It's just like blood over here. They were so good. They were like big. At the end, they're like big, sort of aggressive, racist biker characters that we used. It was terrifying. Which is they're not inherent things like they were bikers as well, so they are big right characters. At the same time, work out their motivation. Whether they did it right in this scene, it's kind of
artists.
Fun, odd combination.
Wow. What a fantastic idea for a show, and so unique and original. I mean, it just seems like there's so much work involved in something like this. You must obsess over that.
The process is I come up with an idea, so like which is I sit with a couple of guys that I write the shows with. We normally drive ourselves mad thinking of ideas, and then one of us, normally me, goes, oh, can't we let's just end the world and it's zombies, or let's get someone to push someone off a building, or with this one, because I'd done the push, I wanted to kind of do the opposite of it, something that would be saving a life, a much more redemptive story than the push. So that idea is the first thing, and I try and combine a really strong dramatic hook with a really, like, a good reason for doing it. Otherwise you're just making like a controversial, shocking thing for the sake of it, which is of no interest. So,
well, that's a beautiful perspective too. That you actually want to benefit someone through this crazy prank you're playing on them.
Yeah. Otherwise, exactly, it would just be a crazy, horrible prank. And there was like part of the enjoyment of the show, I guess, is a little bit of that. It's kind of fun. Sure. That's they're shows. I think they have a lot of heart and a lot of thought.
Well, it's your intent.
Layered.
Your intent to be beneficial to these people is what transforms you. You have empathy for these folks, and you truly care. That alone makes everything else better. It makes the whole, like, if the whole thing is just like, I'm smarter than these dummies and I'm just going to trick them. I mean, we've had that show before many, many times. Make people feel terrible, and it's cringe-inducing when you watch it and you can't look away. But that you're doing this and the end result is actually benefits their perspective and actually might change their life for the better. That's extraordinary. That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, that's
tore down the mansion.
The way that I do it, the way that I change them is through conditioning. So this is a technique I've used a lot over the years. Of you kind of take the emotional state you want the person to have at the end, break it down into components, and then attach each one of those to a trigger. So this guy Phil in Sacrifice is using like an app, which he thinks is sort of talking to this the microchip he has in him, because he thinks we can, and we really do like cut him open, and seemingly, we just don't. It's a placebo. We don't really put it in. But now you actually cut him. Yeah, we cut him. Stitch it back up. I don't think he needs stitches for it. It's a kind of a small cut. It's a scalpel going in, horrible. So he thinks he's using this app, which is kind of helping motivate him. What it's doing is it's giving him this sound, like this little jingle that gets attached to all those feelings of motivation. So that means that when he finds himself in this kind of final scene where he has this choice to step in and save a life, that we can have the same jingle on the radio that plays. And it's like that thing of, you hear a song when you're breaking up with someone and it's a horrible period of your life, and then 5 years later you hear the same song and it just brings you back. It's that process. Or obviously, like, advertising is the big example of that.
Isn't that the premise behind something like the Manchurian Candidate? That there's some way they can snap and then you go back to the state of mind where
that's more kind of, I guess, overtly hypnotic. Yes. That's like a post-hypnotic suggestion. This is more gentle, because he needed to make the decision himself. Right? I did not to be some kind of hypnotized robot, if that would even work anyway. This is about creating I trigger these feelings of empathy are important. A lot of the shows about empathy, and a lot of the shows about the desire to act. And then he finds himself in this situation which is extreme. He has no idea at this point it's anything to do with. Like, the filming's finished. That all happened in England as far as he's concerned. He's gone back home, had time to forget all about it, and then ends up stranded in this situation where it all happens. And then I trigger these things off. So I'm giving him this kind of psychological nudge, and then it's, you know, what will happen? Will he rise up and take it? Like the guy landing the plane. It's kind of like what ultimately, you know, it's that guy's decision. And it's also, I think, it's a story about stepping out of the kind of I guess the show resonates politically, but it's not a political show. There are political narratives we get constrained by, and we forget actually it's the dialogue between the sides that, you know, where humanity emerges and where we find truth. So this is also, I guess, a story about a guy coming out of his particular socio-political narrative and just finding something that ultimately is just a human, you know, a human quality, kindness, compassion. And these are not political qualities, although they end up getting politicized, but, you know, they're not.
I think that a lot of people are going to watch this and want that to happen to them. Like, I need some sort of a transformative prank played on me because I think people do, I mean, we do get caught in ruts, right? We do get stuck on momentum. We get stuck following the same patterns over and over again. It's very difficult to change your life.
This is it. Well, but the thing that makes us so great at evolving, our ability to adapt, is the same thing that ties us down. So, like, all through life. So from an early age, like, we emerge in this world, and we're very quickly given messages about what our relationship to that world is. This is what people are like. This is what they want. You are not powerful. The world is powerful. You know, and that is, it's going to be skewed. Jung said that, you know, I love this, that the greatest burden a child has to bear is the unlived life of its parents. Such a great thing. So your starting point is this skewed story.
Yes.
And then you go through life looking for things that just fit and recreate those patterns because they feel so comfortable. You know, what you learn about love from your parents, you start to bring to your adult relationships and project all that stuff on your partner. If you think about, you know, if you've had a nice, loving upbringing.
So, not to cut that off, I mean, this is some heavy stuff right here that they're talking about, but, I didn't look at, that is not what I want to do. I didn't look at, let's see, final stage, destroy cars, okay. So 10 cars, okay, that's what I was wondering. Didn't mean to cut you guys off, I'll start back with the podcast. So we're going Pleasant Park and get the cars.
You are getting a ridiculously skewed version of what love means. Like, we know as adults how difficult it is. We never saw that as kids. We never saw our parents going off and screaming at each other in the next room once they got to bed. We just had this sort of impossibly, hopefully, you know, if we had a happy one, we get this impossible template of what love is or should be, and then we just dump that on our poor adult partners that nobody can live up to. So our ability to adapt, to internalize stories about who we are and then, like, mistake that for reality is just makes living just difficult and complex. And
Also the narratives that come through fiction, narratives from films and books and songs, the versions of romance and
yes,
interaction.
Particularly with that. Yeah, I love the idea that I don't know if you know Alain de Botton is a British philosopher and writer, and he said, you know, if you go to bed twice a week with your partner thinking, what the fuck am I doing with this person? That's normal. Right? That's a thing. To me, that's more useful information than, you know, how to make your relationship perfect. Like, these things aren't perfect. And again, living with the understanding that, you know, life is difficult.
But what about 3 times a week?
3 times a week? I think that's probably pretty normal as well.
What's the number where you should start to reconsider?
I don't know.
5? 2 good nights. We have 2 good nights, though. 5 nights to hell, but 2 of them, she's the best. Yeah, what do you do? Yeah, I think the narratives that we get from fiction they're very confusing to people. You know, particularly people that are very romantic. They have these ideas that, you know, their life is going to be like one of their favorite films, and that's what they're looking for. They're holding out You know, they're holding out for when the music plays and the close-up is there.
And those stories stop. Going back to this guy, Nando Bottoni, wrote a lovely book on this. The trouble with those films and those stories, they stop when the people fall in love and get together.
Yeah.
That's when it starts. That's when the tough stuff starts that we can do with some good, strong fictional frameworks to sort of, absorb. That's when the tough stuff. It's like death. It's the same thing, isn't it? We've kind of lost touch with the cultural narratives around death that gave it some meaning. So now when it happens, it's just this absurd, scary thing that we don't know what to do with. The only narrative we have absorbed, I guess, is that of the brave battle that someone's fighting, which is so unhelpful for the person that's in that situation. It makes everyone else maybe feel better, but just adds like eventual failure and letting everyone else down to this person's burden. Whereas what we should feel at that time is, that this is when we can if we have the opportunity to bring our stories to some kind of ending. If you watch a film or read a book, that final scene makes sense of everything that's happened before. This doesn't happen in life, it just kind of ends. So we should be like author of our stories more than at any point before death. And if we have the opportunity, what happens is the opposite. We become like cameos in this story. The main characters are doctors or people making all these decisions. We kind of get sidelined. So these fictional or mythical stories, just these things that just give us a sense of where our experience fits into a wider sense of meaning. We've kind of lost touch with that the last couple of 100 years. There's a lot of good stuff that's come with that because we've embraced, science and knowledge at the expense of superstition, of course. But we've kind of lost touch with something. So
we've lost a little bit of touch with nature and the natural laws of things living and dying. And I think we as human beings today are probably more alienated from particularly like the death of farm animals and things along those lines, like where food comes from, like actually seeing death. Even if your dog is sick, you bring him to the vet puts them down. All these things that people probably experience firsthand for hundreds and hundreds of years, particularly like raising animals. And that is just completely removed from the equation for most folks.
Yeah, that sort of embodied dialogue, or that dialogue with ecology, with nature is interesting. There's our view of what the kind of indigenous peoples, like the idea of the shaman. Our view of what the shaman is so skewed by our kind of Western mode. What they're tapping into is not like, it isn't the supernatural. That's not sort of that's not really the mode. What you have, and you still have it in these indigenous peoples that sort of say live like rural Asia and so on, that where these ways of living are still going on. Is what's clear is it's not the supernatural. It isn't the spirit. It's all about a really easy relationship with the natural world. So an example of this is a great book called The Spell of the Sensuous by David Abrams, who actually was a magician originally, who went out and lived amongst his people. And he talks about this, and he said he was staying in this compound, this shaman's compound, and the shaman's wife would bring him some fruit every morning, but she also had these little like banana leaves with rice in, and she was going off and doing something else with those. And he asked where they were going, and he said, "Oh, those are for the spirits of the house, right?" So, and then she'd come back and without them. So he was just wondering kind of what that meant and what he was doing. So one day he just kind of followed and watched her, and she was placing these little pockets of these little things of rice out around the perimeter of this compound, and he was watching it and from a distance, and he saw the rice start to move, and he had a moment of like, oh, this is the spirit, what is this? And then the rice moved along the ground, and it's ants. So what she's actually doing, she's putting out rice for the ants. So then he had the thought of, oh, it isn't spirits, it's just ants. And then he realised, no, of course, the ants kind of are the spirits, right? So this is a house where food is prepared, where they have a lot of kind of big events, and an ant infestation would be just disastrous for them. So the offering to the spirits of the house is a kind of a dialogue with the ants. So we're going to put this rice out. If you just have the rice, if we do this every day, will you leave us alone? And then, that's it. Like it's kind of that's it. It's quite simple dialogue and a sort of this lovely kind of embodied relationship with nature that, of course, we're so far to the the supernatural, even like the unconscious and depth psychology and so on, which I'm a big fan of. But if we can take all this the unknown stuff and shove it into these kind of bottomless pits.
Did you just leave?
Whereas actually, interestingly, if you trace it back, it seems like it just wasn't like that. It was this very
well, doesn't it depend on what they're doing? Particularly with shamans. If a shaman is concentrating on psychedelic drugs, they're an ayahuasca church and they're giving people dimethyltryptamine. Like they are dealing with the supernatural. That's a very bizarre and intense, transformative experience they're putting people through.
Yeah.
And there's different, like the term shaman. It kind of was very rare to be discussed up until about maybe 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's been some sort of a psychedelic revolution over the last couple of decades, and it's almost become a little bit too popular here, where a bunch of people are profiting from it, or they're opportunists and they're labeling themselves as shaman. I think the term that they use in Peru, they call them plastic shaman, and they're setting up shop and putting together this ayahuasca brew and having all these Americans come in, flying in, Europeans that are looking for some, air quote, spiritual experience, and these are not necessarily pure shaman in the greatest sense of the word.
It's a different.
This is what we think of when we think of shaman today. We think of someone who conducts a psychedelic ritual.
Exactly, which I know very little of.
Have you had any experience?
No, I'm excited if I put coffee in.
How come? Why haven't you tried it? Nothing? Psilocybin? Nothing?
No, I never even smoked a cigarette or anything. It's a real magician's thing. It's kind of like I think it's like a neurotic control thing.
Yeah.
During that kind of period where if you're going to do it, you're going to be doing it then, and then that kind of time passes, and it just ends up being something that gets me. It's like a lot of magicians don't drink, don't smoke.
But Hank had the strangest response when I asked him about that. He said, well, I think we've figured out everything we can from those things already. And I was like, but you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't. We've learned everything we can learn from these psychedelic trips, was what his perception was. I mean, I don't know if he's amended that since then. This is over a decade ago we had this conversation, but that thought process is fascinating to me. Because when you talk about like this transformative experience that you put people through with these shows, setting them up, they think the world is different and changed, and then they change because of that.
I think what we're missing is the experience of transcendence. Religions originally gave people that. There was a time in history where religion was being born, and it was giving people a phenomenological, embodied experience of the transcendent, whatever that was, whatever that meant. And then time moves on, and then that kind of moves out of living memory, and so you kind of you need to recreate those feelings through practices, and then those practices start to become, rituals and dogma, and by this point you're recreating a belief, that embodied experience has sort of kind of faded into the background, and then I'm an atheist, but that I can see that what you left with thousands of years later is quite easy to knock down and kind of poke fun of, but actually it's at some level I think it is not doing a very good job of, but pointing back to the original experience, the importance of transcendence. Now, you can de-spiritualize that, doesn't have to be anything spiritual, but like finding something bigger than yourself in life and throwing yourself into that thing is how we find meaning, right? Meaning trumps happiness or anything else. And that might be through your kids. I guess this is why people generally sort of have kids at a certain point. Our ego gets sort of stepped down. So that's and if what we do instead, I guess, is hence the interest in these dodgy shamans. We just put it in all the wrong places: money, fame, and so on. That don't supply. They do not supply those feelings of transcendence. We think they will, because we think a rich and glamorous life will lift us up and out of our boring everyday lives. But of course, they don't work. There's something about that relationship to the mysterious that even me as an atheist and the rest of it, it's important. We have to have that somewhere in our lives. There needs to be some kind of space for that. It doesn't need to be anything spiritual. It just is a kind of a respect for and an understanding that serving something bigger than yourself, whatever that is, and whoever it is an important part of being human.
I like that keeps coming back to you, this recognition of your work as being something that's bigger than yourself. You pour yourself into this, and through that experience, you somehow transcend. That something comes out of it. You grow with the creation of this thing in some way, and while it's happening, you're about as alive as you can be, right?
Me? Well, I'm happy if, if my breath is decent at 4 in the afternoon. I have very low ambitions with this stuff, but it's certainly for the guys going through it, or people going through it. I hope it gives them a profound and transformative experience. For me, I get very I get kind of a bit low if I'm not actively engaged in something creative. So that is important for me. But painting or whatever, these are all things that I can.
You were referring to the painting in the exact same way. Something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. That's
projects. Something to occupy your mind and your spirit and your creative juices.
Yeah, I think that's a really, it's a vital part of your life, making sense of something. The people, sadly, that throw themselves off buildings, it's not they're unhappy, it's that the meaning is gone. That's the real killer, is lack of meaning. And we find meaning through throwing ourselves into something bigger and recognizing that. And, I think maybe the reason why the sort of work on myth and so on is because he's sort of feeling like he's coming back into the dialogue now, because there's something kind of real, in brackets, fictional, to kind of to hang on to. These are important. I think they articulate something that needs to be recognised and somehow honoured within life.
Do you know who Tyson Fury is?
No, I don't.
He's a British heavyweight boxer who's the lineal heavyweight champion, and he went through severe depression. He won the title from Vladimir Klitschko, who had held it for many, many years, and beat him, and then felt like he had accomplished his goals, and just went into a real bad funk.
Yeah.
Gained a ton of weight, started drinking every night, carrying on, and got suicidal, and was thinking about driving his Ferrari into a bridge, and then decided that he was going to make another run at the heavyweight championship. And so, through all this depression and suicidal thoughts and all these different things, what turned him around was goal setting. The idea that he had something to work towards and something to live for, and then getting in shape, and then forcing himself to be on this path to try to achieve that goal.
And then what happened?
The fight takes place December 1st. It hasn't happened yet. The rematch hasn't happened yet. But he's lost more than 160 pounds. He's slim and he looks fantastic and healthy. He's really fat, really large, and very, very depressed. And now he's really happy and no medication. And that's the craziest thing about it is we're always searching for some pill that's going to fix whatever weird, funky path the mind is on. But for him, what he found was that goal setting, like having something that you're striving towards and working towards. And
the danger is, though, what happens afterwards.
It's exactly the danger, because that's what he said. I asked him, I said, well, what if you win?
Yeah.
What if you win the title? What if you fight Deontay Wilder in December 1st and you beat him and you become the champion? He goes, maybe I'll move back up to 400 pounds again and get depressed. But don't say that, because I'm worried that he's being honest, because he hasn't been before. But it's fascinating that he achieved real happiness attempting to work towards these goals and building towards these goals, and having this vision in his mind. Christianity, the kind of Moses 1,000 years ago, which, so bear in mind, so prior to Christianity, you kind of had the Stoics. Like for 500 years, they were the hugely popular philosophical school, and they're all about, bear in mind, they're also, the first Stoics were from the East, so there's a kind of ideas around like non-attachment and mindfulness that are sort of differently expressed in a much more Western rational way, but they kind of reflect some of those ideas that were going on in Buddhism at the time. So the idea of happiness was very much about your relationship to the current moment and your emotional state in the moment.
Alright, I hate to cut him off, because what he's saying I feel is important, but this is, we got 50 minutes left in this podcast. And I'm thinking about ending my stream, seeing as how I have not been providing much commentary at all recently, so I feel like I should probably cut it off there. I managed to get 3 of the weekly challenges done, so that's awesome. Let's see. Deal headshot damage, deal damage, and eat 5 apples. Which is weird because I've been all around the map and have yet to see apples. So Pleasant Park and apples are the main things I need to focus on. But I do plan on doing another stream tomorrow. Again, trying to get a lot of these streams in. Not always terribly consistent. But I do try and get them in at around 3 o'clock every day. Try and get a stream in about an hour and a half. This one ran for about 2 hours. Didn't get much done, but I got a little bit done. But I will see you guys later. Thanks for stopping in, the 2 or 3 of you guys that did. I hope to eventually talk to you guys again later. Peace.